Welcome back into this week's edition of the Recruiting Roundup, giving you the latest on Arizona's top prospects around the state for high school football. My name is Jared Cohen, joined by Jason Jewell, our ProsToPreps.com high school football recruiting insider. And before we get into this week's games, and there's some great ones coming up, let's talk about a player, Jason, that really floating under the radar, plays for North Canyon. North Canyon off to a tough start, but Bryant O'Georgia, maybe one of the better athletes in the state.
Like you mentioned, he's only a junior, but he's got good size, about 6'1". He's got good speed, and he does everything for Mike Brown. He plays receiver, plays some DB, returns kicks. He also is their punter. He's a kid right now, like I said, not really getting recruited, but as he continues to progress, he could be one of the top prospects in the state of Arizona. Well,
Bryant O'Georgia, very talented up in North Canyon, could be a household name before all is said and done for his career with the Rattlers. Let's get into this week's game. Probably the top game this weekend it's going to be Chandler against Mountain Point. Mountain Point off to a fantastic start. Chandler coming off a great come-from-behind win against Basha. We've talked about the talent for Mountain Point. Chandler might have the talent to keep up with Mountain Point this weekend.
They certainly have a lot of athletes running around over there at Chandler. One of their top kids, tight end Patrick Baldinegro, 6'5", 210 pounds, could create some matchup problems with his size. He said 6'5", 210, already has 3 FCS offers, North Dakota, NAU, and Air Force. Then on the defensive side of the ball, they have one of the best safeties in the entire state, and he's only a junior in J.R. Hunt. Already been offered by Arizona and Arizona State, playing great already this year, roam in the middle for Coach Iguano, and has 2 interceptions.
And then when you're talking about Chandler, we talked about the athletes on the outside, but they have great skill on the inside as well. Tyler Shank, the offensive lineman.
Shank is a kid I absolutely love. 6'2", 6'3", about 300 pounds, and he's going to have his hands full with Natrell Curtis and Kenny Lacey this week. But I think he'll be up for the challenge. You know, University of Idaho has already offered Shank, and potentially he could get more offers as the season progresses.
Marcos Niza off to a fantastic start with a great win, one notably against Chaparral. But they're going to have a big test, maybe some athletes that can compete with them pretty well. Ironwood Ridge coming up from the South Valley.
They have 2 kids that are sleeper prospects, you know, in Tyler Williams, their quarterback and corner, and Jake Matthews, their wide receiver outside backer. When you start talking about Williams, he plays quarterback, but he's getting recruited as a corner. Does a little bit of everything for them and is dynamic, makes their offense run. He already has offers from San Diego State and the University of Colorado, plus a few other schools. Matthews has an offer from Air Force, and also has baseball offers. So you can talk about a talented Division I player, 2-sport athlete.
With those athletes, people coming up from Tucson have a lot of buzz surrounding this Ironwood Ridge team. But when you talk about Marcos Niza, you can't forget about Priest Willis. What's the latest with his recruitment?
Priest took an unofficial visit a few weeks ago to UCLA. He has official visits set up to LSU and to Notre Dame. You know, he's a talented kid, top prospect in the state of Arizona. And when I saw him last week, absolutely loved him. Scout.com has him ranked as a 5-star corner, but he played safety for Coach Lopez and looked great. Had 18 tackles last week.
And maybe the most intriguing matchup this weekend, 2 undefeated teams, 2 teams really yet to be tested severely so far this season. Pinnacle going up against Horizon. This game undoubtedly is going to be one in the trenches. First with Pinnacle with their stellar offensive line.
They're completely loaded inside. Their left tackle, Billy Nichols, 6'5", 260 pounds, already has an offer from the University of Utah, plus several Ivy League schools. Then look at their left guard, Carson Patel, 6'3", 305, big old kid, has FCS interest, no offers yet. And potentially their best offensive lineman, Jake Ness, not completely getting recruited like those other kids, but like I said, he's very, very talented and had potential to be a Division II, 1AA type kid next level.
And on Horizon's side, also a very talented offensive lineman. This kid's young, Jake Grant.
Jake's only a sophomore, but starting it as an offensive tackle already for Horizon. The coach and staff at Horizon think that he potentially could be one of the top offensive line prospects in 2 years.
And then when you talk about Horizon, this guy's not on the offensive line, but is a player that they've moved around and has had a lot of success so far, Christian Salinas for the Huskies.
Last year, Salinas, as a sophomore, started as a wide receiver. They've moved him over to outside linebacker, and he's playing great. He already has 8.5 sacks this year. Not getting recruited completely yet, doesn't have offers at this point in time, but as the season and his career continues to progress, he's a kid to keep an eye on.
Well, that concludes this week's edition of the Recruiting Roundup. Thank you to Jason Jewell. My name is Jared Cohen, and we're with ProsToPreps.com.